This week on JW Fusion, we have an amazing show.
We're talking to Earl Sewell. He's going to tell us how he gets so many things done.
And the importance of where you spend your time. Make a choice. This week on JW Fusion.
Stay tuned.
Yes, indeed.
Blowing in from the Windy City, it's time for JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
We got a great show this week, babe.
This is exciting.
Who's our guest? Introduce our amazing guest, our awesome guest.
This is my friend right here.
I know.
Earl Sewell is in the house.
You've been waiting for Brother Earl to come back ever since last year when he was on the show.
But see, we didn't finish a lot of topics that I wanted to touch on.
I mean, the man's a writer.
And
he's an instructor. And he counsels and coaches.
And
he does voiceovers. And he does narratives. And he runs, trains, and suffers and buffets his body like he done lost his mind.
He ran today.
6 miles.
See? Welcome.
And wait a minute. And didn't he do a hill?
He did hills.
Oh, he did hills and 6
hill
miles.
Runs, yeah.
Uh-huh. And this
man
man
had to show me up like that, though. You know
I'm not even going to talk about it. I'll look at a hill and go get my car.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Earl.
Well, hi, guys. Hi. Thank you for having me.
You know, I was excited because, and I'm sure you've heard it so many times, someone says they want to do something, they want to accomplish something, but they don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot of things done.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack that. How do you have time?
Well, there's no such thing as having time. We all get the same 24 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do within those 24 hours that really matters. So when you set an intention to do something, you have to be really clear with what it is that you're going to do or what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when I set out to do something, I'm very clear about what it is I want to do, and I don't worry about anything else. I'm clear about what I want to do at that.
That's the key too. Don't worry about the other things.
Yeah, don't worry about the other things, because your mind will start going, oh, well, what about this project?
Yeah,
or what about that project? Or what
yeah,
about this
yeah.
project? And you
Yeah.
say,
That's
you got
true.
you got to say, no. This is the time that I set aside to do this particular task, and I'm doing this particular task. And with that being said, that doesn't mean you try to do everything at once.
Right.
You know, because
Multitasking.
you can't. You know, I say, there's a saying, inch by inch, anything's a cinch.
Yeah.
But by the yard, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's you take baby steps, and you just keep consistent with your baby steps, and over time you'll reach your goal. And then even with reaching your goal, I don't like to say reaching goals, because then it's like when you reach a goal, it's like you're supposed to like
done.
stop.
Yeah.
You exhale.
You're not done.
You're not done.
not.
You're not done. That's why you have to have a vision for what it is that you want to do, and you have to keep that vision in mind. And that vision is always in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is.
And you have several hats that you wear.
Yes.
So, people, but you know how people say, but I have a job, but I have
Yeah, so do
kids,
I.
but
Yeah. And when you say but, when you know the old saying, when you put but in the middle of a
Yeah.
sentence, forget what I did.
yeah, everything else, it doesn't matter.
forget what I just said. Here's
Yeah.
what I really
mean.
mean.
Yeah.
So if people say or complain that, oh, I don't have time, that you're holding on to your excuse to stay where you are.
Oh, say it.
Yeah, when you
That hurt somebody.
Ouch. Yeah.
Somebody hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
when you say but or you
Wow.
do that, you're putting an excuse. You're basically saying, I want to hold on to my excuses to
Wow.
be where I am. I like to fantasize about what I would like to do, but I'm really not going to put forth the effort because it may be too hard, or it's too cold, or whatever.
It's just unknown too.
Yeah.
I don't
You know
know
what?
what that.
And you know what else?
What that means?
The difference between a dream and a vision. In a dream, you sleep. You're inactive. If you have a vision, you have to be active
Right.
for it to be truly a vision. Because if you're not active, if you're not working on that, towards that, developing it, building it, then it's in a dream state.
That's good, babe.
And so what it seems like what Earl does is, if he has an idea, it may be a dream, but it's not going to be one long, because he's going to put
Action.
action to it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, without action, it's a dream, and you're in a sleep state.
Yeah.
You're in a dormant,
It
inactive
takes
state.
discipline. You know, you have this vision and you want to act toward it. You have to have that discipline, like you said, to have that inch, another inch, and keep building on that.
Yeah. And it reminds me, for people who get stuck, it reminds me of an old stylistic songs.
Uh-oh.
And it was about a guy who was a dream and go, if I could, I would like to be a great big movie star,
yeah.
Overnight sensation. Like,
Yeah.
well, then go do it. Don't talk about
Yeah.
if I could.
Yeah.
You can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Go do it. The other thing, probably the biggest thing that you have to deal with is your mindset. When you're trying to change something. If you are a person who has always had a vision or a dream or something,
Yeah.
but there's always been maybe a life stressor that's prevented you from doing it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something has come up that, a medical issue or something that comes up, that's legitimate, that prevents you from, taking that next step. What I say to that is that when you were born, you signed up for the job. You signed up, you signed up to say, I want to be a conscious living human being and experience life in all of its complexities and whatever it throws at me. Nobody comes out of life unscathed.
No, no.
Okay, so we signed up for this by the fact that we were a 1 in a million chance of being born.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't tell me
very
what you
true.
can't do because you were born.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you the fact that you were born,
Which was against the odds of you being
Yeah.
here.
which is against the
Exactly.
odds
Against the odds
of
of you being here.
Yeah, the fact
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
were
Yeah, that's
born.
good.
Take that
That's
into
good.
consideration.
Very good.
Out of being having a child, being born is a 1 in a million business. Not everybody can do it.
Right.
So the fact that you were born, you beat the odds right there. So why do you believe that you can't do something?
And then you said you've used words like intention, conscious. You have to be focused on that prize.
Yeah.
A lot of people say they don't have time, but they can probably tell you what happened on their favorite show recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's time you could have
Yeah.
put. I mean, yes, maybe
Yeah.
it's just a 30-minute show,
Yeah.
but it's 30 minutes you could have put toward your dream or your vision.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a big part of the battle is hacking your brain. Being able to hack your brain and to get yourself to do what you said you were going to do. That's the key to get
promise
you
to yourself.
Yeah, get you to do what you said you were going to do. Because
Yeah.
how many of us get mad when somebody doesn't do what they say they want to do, and we'll hold that grudge against
Yeah.
them because
Yeah.
you
That would be
said
me.
you were going to do this.
That
and
would
you
be
said-
me.
Yeah.
No, you can't control what other people do. You control what you do, and that's a full-time job. Getting you to do what you need to do, getting you to act right. If you're trying to lose weight, somebody's intention maybe I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to, live my best life and
Yeah.
create my best body. Okay, well, what did you do today?
Right.
Did you, were you at Popeye's Chicken sitting in the drive-through,
Yeah.
eating,
Yeah.
what did you do? What baby step did you take? I mean, and it may seem simple, but for a lot of people, taking that baby
yeah.
step
Yeah.
Yeah.
is like the hugest thing.
Yeah,
to
you're
take.
changing that habit of doing whatever you're doing to keep you from that. So you have to slowly turn that around by replacing it with a better habit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
you know what too? Let me add this. You said about making that baby step. Change. There's a saying that says that discomfort triggers change, but change in and of itself is also uncomfortable. So you have to decide: am I willing to deal with this initial discomfort of change, or do I want to remain in my present discomfort
Yeah.
and not change?
Yeah.
Because it's like you were saying, people are upset when a person does not keep their word, when they say they're going to do something, they don't do it. But we don't get on ourselves, and so that's I view that as what I call a finite construct or mindset versus an infinite finite. The finite, I'm blaming you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. See, because Earl did this or he didn't do that, now I can't do whatever.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, look, this is my responsibility. I should have done this. And I'm responsible. I'm in competition with myself. I'm not competing with Wendy or with Earl or with
Right.
John or with
Yeah.
Sam or anyone else. My competition is me. Just like when you were out there today. You weren't running a race.
No.
Today.
But you were competing
Yeah.
with yourself to be a better you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that take, man, that's
But you didn't just wake up like that. It's taken years of practice.
Oh yeah, it's
and
taken
discipline.
it takes years of practice and discipline, and then sometimes over time you may fall off the wagon. You know, you may fall off the wagon and say, well, what the heck am I doing this for? You know,
Yeah.
and then this is where your mind comes in, and your mind tries to trick you into a lull to say, oh, you don't really need to do that today. Yes, you do.
Right.
Yes, you do, because what I say is results will show up either way. If you're sedentary, a result is going to show up. If you're active, a result is
Yeah.
going to show up. So
Yeah.
choose your results carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, inaction, oh, there's a result for that.
yeah.
Yeah. You may wake up one day, look in the mirror, and the next thing you know, say, man, when did
When did that happen? Yeah.
when did that happen?
Yeah.
No, that didn't grow overnight. That's because of all those little teeny tiny decisions you made
Yeah.
to not do something or to not take action on something. And then when you see someone and you see the end result of what they got, you're like, how did they get there? Well, they
Yeah.
kept making those teeny tiny
Yeah.
little decisions to be disciplined about it, whether they felt like doing it or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether they saw a result or not. You keep going.
And then you're looking at that person, seeing their results, but you don't know what process they've gone through.
Exactly.
That maybe you probably don't even have what it takes to get through what they've gotten through.
Right. And then also people have to remember that it's the journey that's important. It's who you are becoming in the process.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Because it's learning,
That
it's
is huge,
stretching,
man.
it's growing, it's, yeah.
That impacts other areas of your life. That's when a lot of business people like Steve Warner, they've got that hour of champions at 4:00 a.m.
Yeah.
They're up at 4 a.m. every day,
Yeah.
working out and everything. But most of the people involved with it are business people,
Yeah.
and they take that discipline and that focus and that drive over into their business.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you do in your work. You take that same focus, that same drive, those same habits that you formed and developed, because it's a habit. It's if a person sits around eating certain things that they know is going against them and against what they want
Yeah.
or desire in life, then they're going to do other things in their lives that they know is
Yeah.
going against what they desire to do.
Yeah.
I say sometimes, that's the battle within. That's your biggest. Your battles are not external. A lot of your battles are within.
Yeah.
For example, and this is just a common one that's probably universal with people trying to lose weight, and then it becomes, well, I don't want to give up certain foods. And then your taste buds will start talking to you.
Yeah.
Your taste buds will say, "Dang, I want some of this.
Yeah.
I want that gyro sand. I want that with the pita bread with the
Yeah.
with the dill sauce.
Yeah.
But your goal or your spirit or your desire says, well, we are trying to build something, with this body and." Stopping here and getting this
Yeah.
particular meal is going to go against us. And then you will hear a third person in your mind, the bargainer, who will try to bargain with you. Oh, just a little taste.
I see, I haven't heard about him much.
But we know it well, though, don't we?
Yeah, that part of you that starts to bargain
Yeah,
it says, well, if you just take this, maybe you'll do a little extra tomorrow to run that
Yeah.
off or to do whatever, or, you just take this like 5-minute nap right now. And that's a
Yep.
trick.
It's
It
safe
is.
to say that
Ooh,
the
that was
bargainer
good.
lies a lot.
Yeah.
He lies a lot.
Yeah, yeah, because it's this constant battle with the achieving me and the lazy me.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's a duality to it.
Yeah.
I mean, just like there's night, there's day.
Yeah.
Just like there's an up, there's a down.
Yep.
I mean, there's no getting around it. You have
Right.
to deal with your shadow self as much as you have to deal with
Absolutely.
Yeah.
with
You
who
do.
you are.
You really do.
And they both, the interesting thing is both sides of yourself have critical information for you. But it's, you get to choose, what you want to do. I can't stress it enough. You really have to be aware of who you are and what's going on up there, because how many thoughts going through your day, through your brain in a day
Yeah.
that go unfiltered.
Yep. Yeah.
And what are you spending your time? Where are you directing your eyes?
Yeah.
What are you watching?
Yeah.
Who are you watching?
And who are you surrounded with too? Because I mean, if you've been eating Popeye's chicken, you probably got a whole crew.
that little
See, I
Popeye
mean,
chicken.
I mean, but this is
But
what we normally do for lunch.
That's true. But you
yeah.
said something good. You said, what are you watching and who are you watching? That's huge. Because they say who you associate with, that's you in 5 years
Yeah.
or sooner.
Or now.
Or now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what the thought that was going with that is we are in a social media world on steroids. We have a tendency with our phones. We basically have computers in our hands.
Yeah.
We can't go to the bathroom anymore without the cell phone in our hand.
Man, you ain't even
Remember
call me out like that.
Remember the days when you would just go to the bathroom and you do your business and come out? Now you got to go to the bathroom, go through a scroll, go through a video.
No, we call it multitasking.
Yeah, you multitasking, all right.
I'm answering emails.
Babe, tell them.
But we live in a world that's competing in so many different ways for our attention. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And
Yeah.
people who design these things design them to be very addictive.
Yeah.
They design them to be very addictive. So for example, if you are a TikToker, a Facebooker, a YouTuber, an Instagrammer. Look at all this stuff that they have for you to get hooked on, and and then now there's a thing. When I learned from one of my students in my public speaking course that I taught, he was talking about clout chasing. And here's something new for you that you may not have heard of. Young people nowadays, they want to get clout on the internet. So they come up with the craziest, weirdest, they spend their time coming up with all of these different things so that they can get people to watch their content, watch their video, so they can get their likes and their followers to go up, 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 up,
And
up.
that's
Oh,
called
wow.
what again?
Clout chasing, like you're
Clout
looking for
chasing.
clout
Wow.
chasing. So you're chasing clout, you're chasing popularity, you're chasing a sense of self-worth, you're
Oh,
chasing
wow.
you're chasing this from external
I was
people
about
to
to say
validate
external.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
And like no.
Wow. Wow,
But
that's-
it's an addictive thing that and it's like what's it? Facebook maybe last year was talking about getting rid of the like button.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, getting rid of the like button because when you get a little like, you get a little thing, you have a chemical reaction in your brain where you get a little
Validation.
Yeah, get a little endorphin high. It's
That's
like,
good. Validation.
Validation.
you get it, and so many people are seeking. Am I pretty enough?
Oh,
Am I
man.
strong enough? Am I smart enough? Am I worthy? It's so many people, and it's funny. It's not even just in the U.S. It's global.
Yeah. It is.
It is a global thing, and it's a humanity thing where we have this thing in common where we want to be validated.
People want to feel
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
I think it's always been within us to desire that, which is why people dress, like in high school, you dress a certain way. You don't want to be an oddball. But I think what's happened is because of social media, it's provided a vehicle that is accessible to you where you don't have to be who you really are. If you're technically savvy enough, you can present yourself in such a way that if someone was to see you outside of social media, they wouldn't know who the heck you were. They wouldn't even recognize you because you presented yourself through so many filters and other things. They don't even know who you really are.
Yeah. And people who spend time doing that, you're wasting your time. I mean, if you wanted to really do something, be the authentic you. No
Yeah.
filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be if you want to do that, be you, be the
Yeah.
authentic you without the filters and all that. And you're like that. Yeah. Let's see what that looks like instead of putting on the filters and showing your bed. No, show it all.
Yeah.
The other interesting. The other interesting thing that I think, ties in with, social media and discipline, be mindful of how you spend your time there. I'm not against social media, but what I am against is just idle stuff. Make sure that you're intentional with what you're doing. If you're doing it for business, great. Wonderful thing. If you're putting out content to help other people, to achieve a goal, wonderful. That's a beautiful thing to do. But I think so many people do it mindlessly.
Yeah, you can blink and
Yeah.
you've been on for an hour or so.
I think if you're just mindlessly, like you're saying, and it goes back to that word you said early on, focus. You can't just aimlessly do something and say you're focused. You can't do it. It's like you're taking a shower, but you're saying I'm not wet. You got to do one or the other. If you're in the water, you're gonna be wet unless you put on a suit, and then your suit's wet.
Yeah.
So that word focus you said is the key thing that needs to be in the forefront of your mind if you want to achieve something in life.
Yeah.
If you really you're not just saying I want to achieve.
You're not
it, you
dreaming.
Really, right? You're not,
You're not
dreaming.
dreaming.
But then again, about focus.
Yeah.
The way the social media is managed, I should say, is it's there to throw you off focus. You can go on because I promise you, if I look at a pair of shoes over on this site, as soon as I hit Facebook, there's an ad all of a sudden.
They're tracking you.
Yeah, so there are things in there to distract you from your
That happens to me with guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
You're
same
like,
thing.
"Hey, Facebook,
Same
you know what?
thing.
Like,
Yeah,
what the
Or
world?"
about books. Anything about writing, I'm looking up.
It pops up. So you have to be mindful as you're being mindful that there are things there to distract you.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
and to get into your pocket, to get
yeah,
you,
yeah,
to
ultimately.
get you to spend
Yeah,
to get you
yeah,
to spend
yeah,
money on this
yeah.
latest new shiny thing, or whatever. But yeah, that's a part. That's a
You
thing.
went
with-
in to post this, and then you saw the shoes that you were looking at 2 days ago pop up. So now you clicked on that, and you totally off focus.
Right, because now they're getting you to say, hey, come over here and buy this or purchase this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a science behind this
There's
as
a
to
science, that's
yeah,
right,
the-
yeah.
and matter of fact, this is my nerd mode coming in because neuroscience, neuroscientists follow this with human behavior.
Yeah.
With this, so a lot of neuroscientists follow this, and and it's like once you bring that science over into the business, and you can create
Yeah.
something that can potentially make you a lot of money. They're not doing that. You don't see those ads by accident.
No.
Right.
I
Yeah,
agree.
they're specifically targeting you.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, as the business person in me, when I'm doing my podcast, I'm specifically looking for people who are listening to podcasts.
Okay.
So I'm advertising specifically to
'Cause you
you.
can, yeah, you can target certain people.
Because I can go back in there and they
Yeah.
say you go back into the back door of social media and you get your business account and you pay for that service and say, okay, what's the demographic you're looking for?
Yeah.
And we will send an ad that you created to this person so that they can go and get the content
Yep.
that you've put out. So
Yeah.
it's no accident that if you listen to this, you're going to get an ad for that. That's why when you buy something from Amazon, people who bought this title
Yeah.
also bought
this.
also
Yes.
bought this.
Yep.
People
Yeah.
who bought this, guitar also
Yeah.
will look
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so what they're saying is that they're matching you with your
And it's working. It has to be
It
working
does
because
work.
they keep doing it.
They keep doing it.
Well, what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're tracking your habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're tracking.
You know
your
what?
habits.
I want to get into your. We want to talk about your podcast in depth in the second half of in part 2 of on being focused and where you spend your time. But we wanted you to talk about what we were talking about before we started this show about the guy who was a football player, an astronaut, an engineer, and
A professional
I'm sorry,
football player.
with the Cowboys, right?
Yes, the Cowboys.
With the Cowboys,
Then the
right?
Lions.
And the Lions, the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions.
Which this the NFL, not the.
This is the NFL.
It's
That
not just, the pickup game.
No, it's not. It's not.
Weekend.
No, it's so talk about that and what your slant, because you studied this guy.
Yeah. So as a person who's a writer, I'm an avid reader. I'm always reading. And so before I got the job to narrate this particular title for the blind, I had read the book.
Okay.
And so I work with this nonprofit that gets narrators to read books for people who have issues with print or who are blind or
Okay.
may have been
Yeah,
injured or
sure,
something like
sure.
that. So they paired me with this title, and I was like, oh my God, I would love to read this title because I read the book. And so this guy is from Virginia. His name is Leland Melvin, and he grew up in Virginia. He grew up in Virginia, with a no nonsense, sort of family.
Okay.
So one of the things that happened was that kids in the neighborhood wanted us, had skateboards.
Sure.
And he says, "Hey Dad, I want a skateboard." And his father said, "Here's some parts. Go build you one." And so that started his love of tinkering with things.
Yeah.
And so another part of the story where people were buying conversion vans for family trips. And it was like, that was a big thing back in the 70s, if you
Yeah.
remember the big
I do.
conversion
Yeah,
vans.
yeah.
So his father went and bought an old bread truck and said, "Come on, we're going to convert this into a van. And so we're going to go back in here and we're going to build a bed. We're going to build this." And so this is the kind of environment
Wow.
he grew up in. But he was also a gifted athlete. He loved Arthur Ashe. He loved, watching people play tennis. And, he loved football. His father played football because his father was former military. So what ends up happening with Leland is he ends up playing high school football and ends up with a scholarship to Virginia.
Okay.
And so he ends up, and they had the longest losing streak. The team that he joined,
Wow.
in college, at the time in college
Yeah.
history. So they were trying to rebuild, and so it took a full 4 years before they had a winning season.
Okay.
Which was like a 10-2 season. But they never made it to like the championship.
The bowl games.
Yeah, they never
Yeah.
made it to the bowl
Okay.
games. But what happened was for him, when you take a team who's like 0-10 and take it to a 10-2,
Yeah.
it gets noticed.
It does.
It gets
It
noticed. So fast forward, he's doing well in college, and after college, he gets scouts that call him and they say, "Hey, how would you like to play for the Detroit Lions?" And he was an 11th round draft pick, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, wow, I thought I was going to go to grad school," but he ends up playing for the Detroit Lions. And so, long story short, he plays for them. Then he pulls a hamstring. Then Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys calls. So he goes and he plays for the Cowboys for a minute. Then he gets another injury, and he could have gone on, but he said that he had came to a crossroads in his life.
Okay.
And he said that anything can happen to me in professional football.
Yeah.
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 And the discipline, well, anything that can happen to me in professional football, I also have a brain. And where do I want to spend my time? So
okay.
he chose to walk away from, probably fame, fortune, and money, and decided to go to graduate school to study.
Wow.
And eventually he became an astronaut, and eventually he joined an exclusive club of a very small group of people who've only been off-world. And think
Oh,
about
wow.
that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
everyone
No.
gets to go
No.
off
It's a
world.
very small group.
It's
A very small select
Yeah.
group
Yeah.
of people who get to travel off of the planet. And the last thing I'll say, and I know you wanted me to talk about this, is how did you go from playing professional football to becoming an astronaut? So this guy's discipline was so keen and so sharp that he would be learning the playbook for the Dallas Cowboys all day. And then at night, after an exhausting day, he would be doing homework for his graduate program.
Oh, wow.
So he was doing a duality. He had enrolled in graduate school and got called by the Dallas Cowboys. So he was playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And luckily for him, what ended up happening is the courses, they had some they had courses that were recorded.
Yeah.
So he was doing that's how he was doing it. But it was like incredibly, he said, I was running out of hours in the day to make sure I learned the plays, but also made sure that I kept up my grades.
Wow.
And then when he got injured, he was at that crossroads.
Yeah.
He was at that crossroads again. And so he chose to follow his brains, and I think it was the right choice because
Definitely.
because
Like you said, anything can happen.
anything could happen, but with his education, with what he learned,
Yeah.
that would never be taken
you can
away.
never take that away.
That could never be
Yeah.
taken away from him. So it's a really fascinating story about overcoming all of the obstacles that was in his way.
Man.
Yeah.
And
people looking at him like, dude, you gonna leave the NFL to go do what?
Yeah.
You
to
know,
go to school?
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're at the halfway point now. So listen, we're going to continue this in part 2. Our guest, Mr. Earl Sewell, the incredible one.
Yeah.
This is my guy. This is my guy here, man.
It's our guy.
Is our guy.
Yeah.
We'll share him.
We'll share him.
Yeah. So we'll be back in part 2. Thanks for tuning in.
You're listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.